So today we shall discuss on a new topic, how to submit a nucleotide sequence to GenBank using BankIt tool. So in the last class, we discussed about sequence editing and how a raw sequence obtained from a sequencer can be edited to find a consensus sequence. So if you have got two sequences obtained from bidirectional sequencing with forward and reverse primer, so you can combine the information or data obtained from both the sequences, do an alignment, and finally come up with a consensus sequence. And that can be done simply by use of bioedit tool. So that we demonstrated in the last class. So today we shall try to submit the sequence to GenBank. As you know, so when we have some new information pertaining to a particular gene sequence made available out of our wet lab experiment, so we need to submit it to the global databases, online databases, so that we get an accession number. And when we later on publish it in the form of a research article, then whenever you refer to the sequences that you have obtained out of your work, you have to provide the accession number of the global databases so that it is authenticated, so that anybody can go back to the sequence and verify the information pertaining to the sequence by looking into the information available in the GenBank database. So today we shall show you, demonstrate to you how to submit a nucleotide sequence to GenBank by using an online tool that is called BankIt. So there are a number of different sequence submission tools, but most commonly used tools include BankIt, Sequin, and TB12ASN. Sorry, TBL2ASN. TBL2ASN. So more particularly, BankIt and Sequin are commonly used for submission of sequences to the GenBank. So if you have got a sequence pertaining to a gene, maybe partial gene sequence or the whole gene sequence, then you want to submit it to GenBank, either you can use BankIt or Sequin. BankIt is more commonly used. It's a web-based tool. You need not have to download the tool, but in case of Sequin, it is a downloadable software. So this is a standalone sequence record editor that is designed for preparing a new sequence for submission to GenBank. Or you can also edit existing records in the GenBank database with the help of the Sequin software. So today we shall demonstrate to you use of the web-based tool BankIt for submission of a sequence. TBL2ASN is another tool which is a command line based program. That means it is not Windows based, but it is a command line program which automates the creation of sequence records for submission to GenBank. So as I already referred to, most of the GenBank submissions are made using BankIt, a tool which is available in NCBI submission portal and can be accessed through internet. Now there are certain prerequisites for submission of a sequence to GenBank with the help of BankIt. First of all, you must have to have the sequence in FASTA format. I need not explain what is a FASTA format. Already you know that it should start with a greater than sign and then the name of the sequence, and from the next line the sequence has to be written. Then it must have to have the information pertaining to the source of the sequence. That means where from you have obtained the sequence. Suppose sequence you have categorically amplified a particular gene known to you by a specific PCR, and then the PCR product was purified and sent for sequencing by Sanger sequencing method. After obtaining the sequences, both for the forward primer and the reverse primers, you have edited it and obtained a consensus sequence. Now you know what is the source of the particular sequence information. What was the source of the sample from which the sequence was obtained, and other information pertaining to the sequence like the organism, strain, serotype or serovar, biotype, and other properties of the sequence, the type of the sequence, whether it is a DNA sequence, RNA sequence, messenger RNA sequence, protein sequence, or what type of sequence it is, and the source of isolation, where from it was isolated, what is the source sample from where the sequence was isolated, from which species, what was the sex of the particular animal or human being, or any other relevant information pertaining to the source of isolation. Then date and place of isolation, country of origin or particular location or place of origin, breed, sex, age, etc. pertaining to the source of the sample, and any other additional information pertaining to the sequence can be considered as the source information. Then the third information you need to have the biological function of the particular sequence that we refer to as features. So that may include the reading frame. As you know, in a sequence, already I told you there is a single strand, there can be 3 reading frames. Whether the reading frame, open reading frame starts with the first nucleotide or second nucleotide or third nucleotide, that you need to know so that it can be translated for prediction of the protein sequence that is coded by the particular gene sequence. Then it is also better to have the name of the gene and name of the protein it encodes for. So these are additional information required pertaining to the biological function of the particular sequence. So how can you obtain it? As we already showed you, that if you have got a sequence, if you go for BLAST, then you can identify the sequence, and then by using different software tools, including BioEdit, you can also identify the open reading frame, ORF, and also you can translate this sequence to its encoded protein sequence. There are a number of different tools, as we already showed you, so that can be done, and you can record the reading frame, the gene name, protein name, etc. Let me go to now to NCBI database and then find out the BankIt tool. For that, we'll open a new tab, and then we'll go to NCBI website. So in the NCBI website, on the left side, there are lot many options. We'll be working on nucleotide sequence or DNA sequence. So we'll click DNA and RNA. Now if you see on the right side, in the right panel, rightmost panel, you will find lot many different tools. Out of that, one option is GenBank BankIt. GenBank BankIt. We have to click it here. Now this is the home page of BankIt online submission tool. You see, it is used for submission of a new sequence to GenBank. So what type of sequence you can submit with the help of BankIt? If you have got SARS-CoV-2 sequence, if you have got ribosomal RNA, metazoan COX-1 sequence, influenza virus sequence, norovirus, dengue virus, eukaryotic and prokaryotic genomes, whole genome sequence or complete genome, transcriptome shotgun assembly, unassembled sequence reads, and the last option is sequence data not listed above. That means it may be messenger RNA, genomic DNA, organelle, then many other different types of sequences. So today we shall submit a gene sequence. So this is a part of a genomic DNA. So we will therefore have to take the last option, that is sequence data not listed above. Okay. So you have to click here. So this has already given you the requirements for submission. You see, submission requirements are sequence data should be in FASTA or alignment format. You must have to have the name of the organism where sequence data were isolated and any other descriptive data, as I already referred to, the source of information, and then sequence features. As I say, features will give you an idea about the function of that particular sequence. Now we will click start. When we start using BankIt, so you have to have the login ID. Unless you log in, you are not allowed to submit your sequence. That means you must have to have your membership to the BankIt tool, online tool, or as a whole, the NCBI database. So if you have got an account in NCBI, you can click on NCBI account. So rather, I advise all of you, if you want to submit sequences by using BankIt to NCBI, it is better to have an NCBI account. Because when you open the account, not only you can submit it, but also you can use in future see the submitted records, their status of verification, can upload to the NCBI database. And in case you want to have a modification or editing later on, that can also be done with the help of the sequence information that will be made available to your account in NCBI. So I have an account, so I have clicked NCBI account. So now I will put my login information, the username and password here. So login information is, my username is Bora P, then password, I'll not tell you, I'm just writing my password here, okay, then login. Unable to route requests, some problem is there, so let me refresh it, let me see if it comes, otherwise maybe there's a mistake in the, yes, it has come already. Bora P, it means I have already logged in. Bora P has come on the right side, you see, that means I am already in. So now I can go for submission. So here again, click on the buttons below, it is coming, start BankIt submission. And these are the information pertaining to recent upload that I have made to the GenBank database. These are the IDs created. The last submission was on June 27, 2021. I can download this information if I need, or I can modify it. Or I tried some information submission on 1st August 2021, but I did not complete it. So it is also showing here. If I want to continue that submission, I can click here. There was a test submission only. I will not go into that. I will go for a new BankIt submission. So I'll click start BankIt submission. Okay. So with this, it will automatically include it will automatically discard any incomplete submission I had. Now it is showing the contact information of my account in the first page. So this, because I have already filled up all the forms pertaining to my personal profile, into the NCBI account. That's why it is appearing automatically. But if you are entering for the first time after logging in, then you need to fill up this form. Your first name, last name, department, institution, street address, city, state, zip code, country, your contact information like mobile number, email ID, alternative email ID, etc. All these things will have to be filled up. Then only you will be allowed to submit. But I have already given all these profile information to the NCBI account, so I can directly click continue. Now you see, another page has come. Here it is a submission page. Automatically an ID for this submission has been created. This ID will be 2488596. This will be the future reference ID for the sequence that we are going to submit. Now we have to write the sequence author's names here. I may not be the author. Although I am submitting with my account, if the sequence belongs to some of my students, I'll have to write the name of the student here. Or if there were lot many workers or authors associated with the work relevant to the particular sequence, then I'll have to mention the names of these workers here. Now for a test, I'll just write my name here. This is a test sequence only. If there is middle name, I can put here, or if there is no middle name, I'll have to put my last name here. So then if I want to add more name, then I'll add like this. You click on add, then include here. Suppose I would like to add the name of Mrinmoy. Okay, Mrinmoy, last name Chaudhary. He is also a co-author here. So I'll have to enter the names of the co-authors like this. If you want to have more co-authors, you can go on adding by clicking on this add button. Okay, I have added 2. They are the co-authors, suppose, for this particular sequence. Then reference information, it is asking whether the sequence has been already included in a publication. Then in that case, you will have to click here published, or whether your sequence has been included in a publication that you have submitted into a journal and it has been already accepted, it is in press, then you have to click in press. And if it is not published yet or not sent for publication yet, then you have to click on unpublished. So our sequence is a test sequence which has not been published, so we'll click on unpublished. Then reference title, you have to give a title of the work which has given you the sequence. Anything you can write here pertaining to the work which carries this sequence. But here today we will not give any reference title of the sequence. We will just write test submission. This is a test submission, so that we can record, we can have a record of this test submission later on in my NCBI account, and we can know that it should not be completed because it is not a real submission. It is only for demonstration. Okay. Then reference authors, it is asking reference authors, means the sequence authors may be the reference authors, or they may not be, or they may be a part of the reference author. That means, what does it mean? Suppose you have got a team of workers working on a particular project, but the task of performing that particular research has been divided into subgroups. Some people are doing on one particular organism, some others are doing on another organism, or one particular group is doing on one gene, others are doing on one gene, or maybe a part of the team members are working in one place and others are working in another university, like that. So there may be several groups working on that. Finally, you are publishing it together in a single publication. In that case, the sequence authors will be those who have really isolated that sequence from the original source. They are the sequence authors. But reference authors will include all people involved in the project as a whole. So if you want that your reference authors are different from that of sequence authors, then you are to click specify new authors. If the reference authors are same as that of the sequence authors, then you can click on the first option, same as sequence authors. Then you click continue. Now our sequence authors are similar to the reference authors. We are not changing. Now it is asking what sequencing technology was used to obtain the sequence. As I said, our sequence is a gene sequence only. So therefore, we have applied the Sanger's dideoxy sequencing technology. So we'll click here. Most of the gene sequences are obtained from the Sanger's dideoxy sequencing. But if you have got a whole genome sequence, assemble whole genome sequence obtained from any NGS platform, then you are to click on the specific NGS platform that you have used. Whether you have used Helicos, whether you have Illumina, or Ion Torrent, or PacBio, or any other platform that you have to specify. But in our case, it will be Sanger's sequencing technology, so we have clicked on the first option. Then next it is asking whether it is an unassembled sequence or assembled sequence consisting of 2 or more sequence reads. So in our case, we have combined 2 sequences, that is your forward and reverse, and found a consensus sequence. So therefore, we will click on assemble sequence. But if you are putting up the raw data, unassembled sequence data obtained from the reads, obtained from the NGS sequencing machine, then you have to click on unassembled sequence. But always it is better to submit assembled sequence to GenBank, not an unassembled raw data. So we have clicked assemble sequence. Then again click continue. Now it is asking some more questions regarding the sequence. Sequence submission release date. On which date the sequence has to be released into the GenBank database. It means when it will be displayed in the GenBank as a sequence. Sometimes what happens, we may have submitted the research paper to some peer-reviewed journal for publication, which included our sequence. But so far we have not submitted the sequence to GenBank, so therefore we don't have a accession number. But the editor suggested that before the publication is online or it is published, you must have to obtain accession number of your sequence, and that should be intimated and incorporated into the final manuscript. So in that case, you can submit the GenBank sequence and then ask for releasing it on a specified date when your paper will be published, or a date before the actual date of publication, so that you can submit the data pertaining to the accession number to the editor of the peer-reviewed journal, so that it can be included in the published paper. So that is normally required. Nowadays, in good peer-reviewed journals, reputed peer-reviewed journals, if you want to publish, all sequence information must have to be submitted to some global database, and the accession number has to be provided in the manuscript. Otherwise, they do not accept it. But of course, if you are doing it without any submission or without any specific attempt to publish it on a specified deadline, then you can click on immediately after processing. So in that case, you are not specifying any date for publication, but the system will take its own time to process the data that you have submitted, verify it, and then uploading it after proper verification and corrections when necessary. So there is no definite time limit when it will be made available online. So now today we will keep it on the first option, immediately after processing. We will not provide a deadline. If you want to provide a deadline, normally you must have to provide at least 6 months time before the deadline. The sequence has to be submitted at least 6 months before the deadline that you have already fixed for publication of the data. Because normally GenBank obtains thousands and thousands of sequence information from different authors from across the globe on daily basis, and it takes a lot of time to verify and correct or modify the data as needed for uploading to the GenBank database, and therefore it requires a lot of time. So they do both manual or expert method of processing, and also they do it by in silico process. So that I already referred to as the curation process. So curation will be done by both manual process done by experts as well as done by using certain online or in silico tools. So that takes really a lot of time, and therefore any submission with a deadline has to be done at least 6 months before the release date. Now it is asking molecular type. What molecular type we are submitting? In our case, it is a genomic DNA. We'll click on genomic DNA. Then topology, we will keep it as linear. No change. Are you submitting the complete sequence of an organelle, genome, virus? No. Normally, if it is a whole genome sequence, then we have to click yes. Then nucleotide sequence format. FASTA is the default format. It has to be in FASTA format. So we have already in default. We will not change it. Then we have to paste our sequence information here. Or we can choose the file for uploading. Either we can choose the file for uploading, or we can paste the sequence here. So already I have got a file on the desktop. This is the file pertaining to the STM0171 gene of Salmonella typhimurium. And as we know that already by BLAST we have known that this is pertaining to an enzyme called carbonate and dehydratase, as I showed you in the last class. And the gene name is YADF gene. So these informations already we have obtained by doing a BLAST of the sequence. Suppose this sequence now we want to submit. We'll select the sequence. So for purpose of only testing, we will select only a part of the sequence. Okay, copy it, then go back to Bankit and click here and paste it here. So sequence has been pasted. So this is the sequence that we want to submit. This is a partial gene sequence. We have not given the complete gene, only a partial gene sequence of YADF, that is your carbonate dehydratase enzyme of Salmonella typhimurium. So now, after loading the sequence information, we will click continue. Now, it has given a warning. You see, you have chosen to submit a single sequence. Bankit allows you to submit multiple sequences and add modifier and other feature generation for all of them in one submission. So if you have got a number of sequences with you, you can submit it together. But the data pertaining to the sequence information and the features and the sequence in FASTA format must be available with you before submitting multiple sequences together. But here, today we are only submitting a single sequence. So it is asking if single sequence is correct, please press continue. So it is correct for today. So we'll just click on continue. Now in the next page, it is asking me to fill in the missing organism information. In the data so far we have submitted, there was no name of the organism from where the gene sequence was obtained. So we have to mention the organism name. Here we will write here Salmonella enterica, sorry, Salmonella enterica. You see, already it has given us some options to follow, but we will not go for that because we have to select the subspecies. Subspecies, SUBSP, enterica, then Serovar, Typhimurium. That we know. If we do not know up to the Serovar, we can keep it as Salmonella enterica, subspecies enterica, or even now we can keep it as Salmonella enterica, subspecies enterica. This is sufficient because Serovar information we can give it separately along with the source information. So we'll keep it up to Salmonella enterica, subspecies enterica. This is the organism from where it is isolated. Then continue. Now it has already shown the sequence ID and the organism name here. You verify it. If you find it correct, then click continue. Now it is asking another query. Indicate whether your sequence is an original submission or a third-party annotation submission. So this is an original submission. So a third-party annotation submission means derived from some other primary sequence data, and it is a secondary information obtained from primary data from other source. But in our case, this is a sequence that we obtained from our laboratory, from our own experiment. So it is a primary sequence information obtained directly from the source. So we'll click on original. Then click continue. Next, it is asking for the source modifiers. That means you are to mention how you have obtained the sequence, where from you have got it. Every detail has to be given as applicable or as available to you. So it is asking first, how were they obtained? Whether it was from a pure culture of strains, contains only one microbial species, or it is obtained from a mixture of different bacteria. So say for example, if it is a pure culture of one single bacterium, you have to click the first option. In our case, it is a pure culture. From there we have obtained, so we'll click the first one. But if it is an enrichment culture of mixed bacteria, then we would have clicked enriched culture. Or if it is an uncultured organism environmental sample or metagenomic sample, then we would have clicked uncultured. Now we have clicked on pure culture strains. Then it is asking whether it is from some specific organelles. We have the genomic DNA, but sometimes we may have DNA pertaining to plasmid, DNA pertaining to mitochondria in case of eukaryote, DNA pertaining to plastid or chloroplast in case of plant. So in that case, you are to mention from which organelle or occasion this was obtained. There are many options here. If you click the drop-down menu, it is showing these are the options: mitochondria, plastid, etc. So in our case, this does not apply because we have obtained it from genomic DNA only. So we will not write anything there. Keep it blank. Then it is asking source modifier. What are the source modifiers? Source modifiers are, as I say, some parameters which specify the source information pertaining to the sequence. So if you click on this drop-down menu, there are many options for source modifier. You see here, all these options are given in alphabetical order. So if whatever information that you have, you are to select accordingly the parameter pertaining to source information. Say for example, in our case, we know the Serovar. So let us first go for Serovar. Serovar option is there. So here we will write here now Typhimurium. Typhimurium. Then add another source modifier. Suppose we know that it is a particular strain number we know, suppose. Then we will select strain. Suppose this is a strain, LT2 strain. Suppose our sequence is from LT2 string. Then add another parameter. Say if it is from India, so country is another parameter, source modifier. So we'll write India. Add another, suppose collection date, collected by, all these things can be incorporated. Suppose collection date is known to us. Suppose it was 10 July 2021. Suppose. Then another modifier. Anything you can choose from here, whatever information that you have. Suppose isolation source, we have isolation source, say feces of pig. Say another modifier, sex of the pig, suppose suppose it is from male. Also, these type of source modifiers can be applied. Whatever information pertaining to the source of that sequence is known to you, all these information are to be given here. So you must have to have at least some information pertaining to the sequence, where from it was obtained. So if you want to put up more information pertaining to the sequence, any other source related information like taxonomic classification, etc., you can click on it and put it here. We are not going to do it because taxonomy information will be automatically created by the database based on the information that we have provided pertaining to the organism, because all these information are obtainable from the database. So we will not put up any more information. Then if you want to include PCR primers, you can click here, then continue. If you do not want to put up the information pertaining to PCR primer, don't select it. We are not going to select it today. Then click continue. So after this, it has shown you the source modifiers that already you have enlisted. Then you check it once. If it is correct, no changes are required. All information so far given are shown below. You see in the bottom, the sequence ID, strain name, subspecies name, serovar name, country name, then the cultured bacterial source, then isolation source, collection date, sex, and organism. Everything has been shown here. If they are correct, no modifications are required. Confirm it and continue. Okay. Then next option is for features. As I said, features indicate the biological significance or function of the particular sequence. Now, for providing information pertaining to the features, you must have to have the information about the gene name, protein name, and the type of the sequence, and any other information pertaining to the function of the particular sequence. So that can be obtained, as I said, by doing a blast with the sequence. In our case, as I said, already we know that our sequence is pertaining to a particular gene sequence, STM0171, which is referred to as YADF gene, and it is pertaining to Salmonella enterica, subspecies enterica, serovar typhimurium, LT2 strain, and the protein name is carbonate dehydratase. These informations already we have obtained by doing a blast. So now these features have to be added to the feature panel. Here, two options are there: add features by uploading 5-column feature table. Second option is add features by completing input forms. It is better to use the input form, that becomes easy for you. So click the second one. Then it is asking now, options are given to you in the input format. To add features, select feature category and feature type within that category, then click Add. Okay. First of all, it is asking coding region, gene or messenger. If your sequence encodes a protein, choose this option. We know that ours is a coding sequence. It is a gene sequence, so we'll click coding region. Now it is asking add CDS by providing intervals, then providing protein sequence data. So we will click on providing intervals. Then it is asking whether it is RNA, repeat region, regulatory feature, or others. It is not. So it is a coding sequence. Then we will click Add. Under Add, now if it is a coding sequence, it is asking some additional features here. Whether it is asking strand plus or minus, we will click the plus. The default one will not change it. Then partial, it is asking 5 prime, 3 prime. We'll click on both 5 prime and 3 prime because it is a consensus sequence obtained both from the bidirectional sequencing. We'll click on both 5 prime, 3 prime. Then if partial at 5 prime end indicate reading frame, now we are to say in which reading frame the open reading frame is there. If you have already tested the sequence to find the reading frame, and if you know whether it starts from the first nucleotide, second nucleotide, or third nucleotide, you can specify it. So for that, what you can do, we can use BioEdit or any other software tool which can predict the ORF. So that can be done, or otherwise, if you are not sure about it, you have not done it, simply click one after the other. It will automatically detect if it is a open reading frame or not. Suppose we click bluntly on 1. Okay. Is this a pseudogene? No. Is this a intronless gene? Yes, it is a bacterial sequence. There is no intron, so we'll click yes because it is an intronless gene. If it is a eukaryotic sequence, we will click no because the eukaryotic sequences also have introns. So if it is intronless sequence, so nucleotide interval spans entire sequence. So we'll click the first one. Then it is asking protein name. Now we know that the protein name here is carbonate dehydratase. Carbonate dehydratase. Protein description you may or may not give, but at least name has to be given. No need to put other information. Suppose we have given name. Then gene name, already we know gene name is YADF. That we know. Other gene description and gene alleles, you may not write anything. At least protein name and gene name has to be given. That we know, already given it. Then qualifier, some qualifiers are here, additional. If it is known to you, then you can choose them. But if it is not known to you, you need not enter anything. Keep it as it is. Then click accept. You see, because we have put up the ORF information, the partial sequence reading frame started from 1, we say, but it is giving a warning here. The protein translation of your sequence contains internal stop codons, which is biologically incorrect. If it is a CDS or coding sequence, it should be a contiguously containing codons for different amino acids without a stop codon in between. If it is an ORF. If there is some stop codon in between, that means it is not the ORF. It is not representing the coding sequence. So that means the reading frame does not start from 1. We have known that reading frame does not start from 1. So we will click now 2, second option. Okay. Let us see again by clicking on accept what message comes. Again, it is showing here CDS translation includes the terminal stop codon and is marked as 3' partial. If the CDS is 3' partial, confirm the nucleotide intervals and sequence in this region. If the CDS is complete, remove the 3' partial annotation on the CDS feature. Or otherwise, we can click on 3 and again see what happens. Now no warning is there. Okay, that means the real ORF was in the third nucleotide, starts from the third nucleotide. So now it is showing the features that we have incorporated here. You see, automatically it has translated our sequence into its protein sequence. And then we are to click continue. Continue. Now it is asking additional email address. Already I have a account there. The original email address that I have given as the preferred email address has been shown here. If you want to change it, you can change it here, or additional email address you can provide it for correspondence. So let me keep it like that. So no more information is needed to be submitted, but there are more options if you want to choose them according to necessity for putting up additional information, then you can click them. But we will not do it now because we do not have any other information pertaining to the sequence. So now you see it has shown us the entire sequence information that we have made ready for submission in a format which is normally seen in case of any sequence that is submitted to GenBank. So any sequence, if we see the information in GenBank, that appears like this: locus, definition, accession number, version, then the source organism, reference of authors, reference of the journal publication, then source of the sequence, the taxonomic status, then the CDS or the coding sequence, then the translated, predicted amino acid sequence, then at last the actual nucleotide sequence pertaining to the gene. So this is as it is normally appearing in case of any nucleotide sequence when you download from the NCBI website. So this has been given this format because we have put up the information in the required format. So now the last step is ready. That is, you have to click for finish submission. But we will not do it today. Why? Because unnecessarily this information will be going to the GenBank, and unnecessarily a burden will be put on the curators to verify and upload it to the database. But this is not a sequence that we intended for submission. It is only a test sequence submission. I tried to show you how to make it ready for submission. So once you click submission, finish submission, then it will be going to GenBank and you will be given a confirmation. So, but today we will not do that. Unnecessarily, this sequence information will not submit because this is only a test data. Already we have submitted this data to GenBank. So after you click finish submission, a page will immediately come up which will read like this: Bankit submission confirmation page. Okay, so submission number, specific identity of the sequence, submission number is shown here. Then submission completed. Thank you for using GenBank submission tools. Your submission ID is such and such. All this information it has been given, and an email have also been given, passed on to your registered email ID. If you click on that, then you can obtain the sequence information that have been submitted to the GenBank. But we will not go for that today because we do not want to submit it really. So This is the process of submission of sequence to the ZinBank. And after you submit it, then you have to log out from the ZinBank account. For that, you have to click your name, then log out. So without submission, I have logged out. For this sequence information, what we have done so far will be shown in my account as an incomplete sequence data when I go for next time logging in. So when I log in, then it will be shown as incomplete data. If I want to submit it, then I can click on that and complete submission. But today we will not do that because this is only a test sequence. So with this, I want to complete my class today.